Would he close down the oil industry? Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
And here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that.
Donald Trump is trying to capitalize on that moment from last night's debate. Well, I don't know how it will play in the election. Here's what I do know. We are going to transition from oil, whether Joe Biden says it or not. 4 years ago, Trump and the Republicans thought that their big checkmate move was defending coal. Do you notice how nobody talks about that anymore? That's because things are moving very quickly away from fossil fuels. And if you want to get a sense of that, just check out this video.
The real revolutionaries ones that change the game forever. Understanding strength is never enough. Evolving, imagining, seeing the world not as it is, but how it could be.
Introducing the world's first all-electric super truck, the revolutionary GMC Hummer EV. With no limits, no emissions, and no equals.
That's right. General Motors is bringing back the Hummer, the infamous gas-guzzling FU car, as an electric vehicle. And it's just one of a whole bunch of new electric cars rolling out soon, including a Ford F-150 truck, an electric Ford F-150. This transitioning is happening, and people are excited. And in fact, it is a winning issue for Democrats. Charlotte Swayze is the vice president of data and polling at the Data for Progress. Data for Progress, a think tank that uses data to eliminate important stories. She joins me now to talk about where American voters are on climate issues. It's great to have you, Charlotte. I find it maddening because I feel like there is a vestigial sense that Democrats are on the defensive on this stuff. If you talk about fracking or transitioning from oil, you're in bad territory. What does the data say? Like, what is the polling landscape on this stuff?
So the polling landscape for climate at this point is that it's genuinely a popular and persuasive issue. We're finding really large percents of voters. We're finding 56% of voters say they're more likely to support a presidential candidate who pledges to achieve 100% clean energy by 2035. This is not a place where Democrats are playing on the defensive anymore. This is actually a winning positive issue that we can really use as a wedge to persuade even Republicans and independents who we kind of have this mindset of are skeptical of climate. At this point, it's genuinely something that we can use to bring them into the Democratic camp and to get them excited about Democratic candidates.
You know, I've been talking about this polling result from the Times because it was so striking to me. And Biden got to talk about his climate plan a little bit last night, that should the government invest $2 trillion in clean energy infrastructure spending, polling saying yes, 55%, no, 34%, like plus 20 on that. When you tell people this, this is a Data for Progress poll. When you tell people that price tag, when you say, here's $2 trillion, like the fact that you're still plus 20 there says something to me.
Yeah. And we've really been pushing this issue. We didn't want to just poll it as sort of a, do you like the environment? Yes, no. We're polling it as if it's in the environment where they're going to hear messages from both sides. And even when we include a Republican messaging about deficit and about this being expensive, we're still finding voters majority in favor of this plan to invest $2 trillion into infrastructure and jobs. So we believe it's a strong issue that will hold up even through the sort of inevitable politicization that it will undergo as it becomes more of a prominent issue.
Do you think that sunk in as you watch the messaging from national Democrats and from prominent Democrats?
I think it's something folks are still coming around on. I mean, there's a lot of sort of institutional ideas that climate is a difficult issue and that it's not popular with Republicans, but that's just not the state of the world anymore. It's not an issue where we have to be on defense. And in my opinion, every minute we spend being on defense and defending our commitments to oil and so on is a minute that we are not talking about investments. We're not talking about jobs. We're not talking about the frontline communities that will really be helped and have their lives improved by these popular climate policies.